Lily Monroe sat alone in the research lab on level 7 of station. The lights hummed above her head. Around her were machines and screens showing data about plant growth in zero gravity. She was checking numbers from the past week. Her coffee was cold. She did not care. The station was quiet at this hour. Most people were sleeping. It was the middle of the night cycle. Lily liked working at night. No one bothered her. No one asked questions. She could think and work without interruption. She was 27 years old and had spent the last 5 years on this station. Her father, Commander Jack Monroe, ran the station. Her mother had died when Lily was young. Work became her world. Science became her family. On station, both humans and worked together. The peace treaty between the two species was 15 years old. Some people trusted it. Some people did not. Lily heard a sound. It was strange. A deep vibration. Then everything went dark. The lights died. Every screen went black. The machines stopped humming. Lily jumped from her chair. She stood in complete darkness. She could not see her hand in front of her face. "Hello," she called out. No one answered. Her heart beat faster. Something was wrong. The station had backup power. There were systems to prevent total darkness. Yet here she was in blackness so complete it felt like the dark had weight. Emergency lights should have turned on. Nothing happened. Lily moved slowly, her hands out in front of her. She felt her way to the wall. Her hand touched cold metal. Good. She had her direction. She moved toward where the door should be. Her fingers found the metal frame. The door would not open. The electronic lock was dead. She pushed harder. Nothing. The air felt strange. She could not smell the normal station smell anymore. The life support system was still running. She could hear it, but something was different. Lily walked back to her desk. She knew this room well. In the dark, her feet found the correct path. She opened the bottom drawer. Inside was a small light. She always kept emergency supplies. Her father had taught her that. In space, you always have backup plans. The light came on. It was small but strong enough to see. Lily looked around the lab. Everything was normal. Books on shelves, equipment in order, coffee cup on the desk, but something felt wrong. She heard voices, far away but coming closer. 2 voices. They were not speaking in human language. They spoke. Lily knew some words. She understood the basics. These voices sounded angry. They said words about sabotage and time running short. Lily turned off her light. She stayed very still. The voices came closer. She heard footsteps in the corridor outside. Metal boots on metal floor. 2 people. They were heavy, were larger than humans, much larger. "The grid is down. All power is gone," one voice said in English now. The accent was thick. The girl was working in Research Sector 7. She may have seen the backup generator room. Lily's blood went cold. Her room was on Sector 7. They knew she was here. "Find her. She cannot leave this station alive. No witnesses," the other voice said. This voice was hard and flat. This voice belonged to someone who had killed before. Footsteps moved past her door. They were looking for her. They were looking for her and they wanted her dead. Lily stood in the darkness. Her light was off. Her breathing was shallow. She had to move. She could not stay in this lab. She moved to the small window in her lab door. Through it, she could see the corridor. A little light came from somewhere far away, just enough to see shapes. 2 figures moved down the corridor away from her. They were tall. They wore dark clothes. Weapons hung at their sides. Lily waited until they were far enough away. Then she opened her lab door. It slid open without sound. The electronic lock was gone. The door just slid. She stepped into the corridor. Her light was off. She kept it that way. She could see a little bit now. The emergency backup lights were working on a lower level, not normal lights, just red warning lights. She moved the opposite direction from the voices. She did not run. Running made noise. Running made mistakes. She walked fast, her hand touching the wall, her eyes looking for any sign of danger. She knew the station map. She had lived here for 5 years. She knew where the backup communication system was. It was in the central hub. It was on the other side of the station, a long way from here. But first, she needed to understand what was happening. She needed to know why the power was off. She needed to know why they were hunting her. The maintenance corridor was her next option. It was smaller. It had fewer cameras. The power failure meant the cameras were not working anyway, but the mercenaries did not know the station like she did. Lily turned down a side passage. This was the way to maintenance. The corridor was narrower here. The walls were closer together. The air was colder. This part of the station was mostly empty. Pipes ran along the ceiling. Wires went to systems all over. She heard a door slam far behind her. They had found her lab empty. They knew she had moved. Lily moved faster now. She could hear them searching. More voices joined the first two. There were more of them than she had thought. Maybe 4, maybe 5. She could not count them well. She reached the maintenance access point, a large metal door with a wheel lock. She grabbed the wheel and turned it, once, twice. The wheel moved hard. It was not meant to be opened often. The door opened. She went inside and closed it behind her. She spun the wheel to lock it. Inside was darkness again, but this was different darkness. This was the heart of the station. This was where the real power came from. In the dim red glow from a distant light, she could see large machines. The backup generator was here. This was what they had sabotaged. She understood now. They had not just killed the main power. They had destroyed the backup systems too. They had cut the station off from all outside communication. They had trapped everyone here. Lily moved deeper into maintenance. Around her were pipes and cables and systems. Everything that kept the station alive. Everything that kept hundreds of people alive. One of them being her. She had to reach the central hub. She had to reach the manual emergency beacon. It did not need electricity. It worked on pure mechanics, an old system, a backup to the backup. The maintenance tunnels were narrow and cold. Lily moved through them like a ghost. The red emergency lights cast everything in shades of blood. She knew these tunnels. She had explored them months ago when she was bored. That boredom might save her life. Her small light helped her see the path. She kept it pointed down. The beam was small. If someone was behind her, they would not see it easily. The tunnels twisted and turned. Pipes ran overhead. Water recyclers hummed. The station's bones were exposed here. Without these tubes and cables, everyone would die. She came to a section where the tunnels branched. Left or right, she chose left. The way to the central hub lay that direction. She moved fast now. The voices were far behind, but they were still there, searching, hunting. Lily's legs burned. Her heart pounded against her ribs. She wanted to run. Every part of her wanted to run as fast as her body would move. But she forced herself to stay calm, to move smart, to think. She heard a door open far behind her, a long way back, but they were coming into the maintenance tunnels now. They knew where she was heading. They knew the station layout. Unless they did not. Lily came to a side passage. It was very small, just a service crawl. Most people would not know about it. She had found it by accident. She lowered herself into the crawl. It was tight, very tight. Her shoulders almost did not fit. She squeezed through. Inside the crawl, she turned on her light. It was just an access tunnel to the water recycling system. Pipes made of heavy metal ran through it. The crawl was barely tall enough to move through on hands and knees. She moved forward on her hands and knees. The metal was cold. Her knees hurt. But the crawl narrowed. No one large could follow her, not unless they wanted to remove their armor and weapons. The tunnel went on for a long time. Her arms ached. Her knees were raw, but she kept moving. Behind her, she heard them searching the main tunnel. She heard cursing and human words mixed together. One of the voices said words about patience. Another voice said words about checking every passage. They were professional. They were not going to leave until they found her. Lily came to the end of the crawl. It opened into a larger space, a chamber with the water recycling system, the great machines that cleaned the station's water and recycled the air. Humans and both needed clean water. The system worked for both. She pulled herself out of the crawl. Her breathing was hard. Sweat covered her skin. She turned off her light for a moment and listened. Silence, just the quiet sound of machines working. The recycling system was running on backup power. Basic functions only. Good. It meant air was still being pumped through the station. Lily sat down. She needed to think. She needed to plan. She was heading to the central hub. That was still far from here. She had maybe half of the station to cross, and they were hunting her. Then she heard a new sound. A different sound, footsteps on metal, not the footsteps of the mercenaries, someone else, someone without armor. A figure came around the corner. Human-shaped, young, a man. His eyes were wide with fear. "What is happening?" he said in English. "Why are all the lights off?" His name was David. He worked in hydroponics. Lily did not know him well, but she knew his name. "Quiet," she said. She kept her voice very low. "Stay quiet. There are people looking for something. I heard them in the corridors. I hid in my quarters. Then I came down here looking for water. Why are the lights off?" Lily moved to him. She grabbed his arm. She could hear them now, the mercenaries. They were coming through the maintenance tunnels. They had found her path. "Listen to me," she said. "There are dangerous people on this station. They turned off the power. If they find you, they will kill you. Do you understand?" David's face went pale. He nodded. "Go back to your quarters. Lock the door. Do not open it. Not for anyone. Do you understand?" He nodded again. "Go," she said. David ran back the way he came. His footsteps echoed off the metal walls. Lily wanted to call him back. The noise would give away his position. But it might also confuse the mercenaries. It might make them think there were more people in the tunnels. The voices came closer. Lily looked at the water recycling system. It was huge. Pipes ran everywhere, tanks held water, pumps moved everything through the system. One of the voices said words about investigating every noise. They were coming this direction. Lily ran to the control panel for the recycling system. The buttons and switches were labeled. Most of them were automatic, but she could override them. She was a scientist. She understood systems. She started flipping switches. The emergency lights made it hard to see, but she knew what to do. The pump system began to change. Water started flowing wrong. A seal burst. Water sprayed out of a pipe in a heavy stream, then another, then another. An alarm started, not the station alarms. Those were dead, but an alarm on the system itself. High-pitched, loud. Water poured across the maintenance tunnel floor, not enough to flood it completely, but enough. A wave of water came from the chamber, enough to make the mercenaries back up, enough to make them think twice. Lily heard cursing, curses. The voices argued about flooding and worth and continuing. One voice said to go forward anyway. Another voice said the water might damage equipment. Lily used the time. She moved to the other exit from the chamber, a passage that led toward the central hub. She went through it. She did not look back. The passage was getting better. Fewer tunnels, more regular corridors. The red emergency lights were brighter here. She could move faster. She came to a section with actual doors. Crew quarters, most were locked. Empty rooms where people slept, unaware of the danger. She found a supply closet and went inside. She sat down in the darkness. She was breathing hard. Sweat was cold on her skin. From the corridor, she heard the mercenaries pass. 2 of them. Maybe 3. They moved with purpose. They were heading toward the central hub too. They knew where she was going. They knew what she wanted, but they did not know she was here, not yet. Lily sat in the darkness of the supply closet. Around her were cleaning supplies and spare uniforms and things the station needed to keep running. She heard the mercenaries talking outside. One of them said the girl would go to the manual beacon. The other said they would wait there. They would catch her. They would make sure there were no witnesses. The central hub was the heart of station. It was where all the main systems came together. Power distribution, communication systems, life support controls, climate regulation, everything important was here. Lily could see the hub from the corridor. It was a large open space, 4 levels high. Catwalks and platforms crossed the open area. Cables hung from the ceiling like metal vines. The red emergency lights gave everything a strange color. The manual emergency beacon was mounted on the highest platform. It was an old piece of equipment, very old. It had been on the station since the beginning. Humans had built it. Then humans and had agreed to keep it. It needed no electricity. It worked on mechanical springs and radio waves that could not be jammed or blocked. But the beacon was a long way up, and Lily was not alone. 2 mercenaries stood near the base of the hub. One was tall even for a 7 feet high, maybe 8. His body was covered in muscle. His armor was dark and heavy. The other was slightly smaller. But his face was, both of them held weapons, not guns, but tools that hurt, tools that could kill. Lily stayed in the corridor. She watched them from the shadows. The taller one was looking up at the beacon. The scared one was looking at the entrance points. They were waiting for her. They knew what she would try to do. She could not get to the beacon, not while they were there. Lily's mind moved fast. She had always been good at solving problems. Her teachers had said so. Her father had said so. But this was different. This was not about numbers or data. This was about life and death. The central hub had many systems. Water lines, power cables, air ducts, temperature controls. All of them ran through this space. All of them could be controlled from the panels around the hub. She looked at the corridor she was in. Behind her was the water recycling section. Ahead was the hub. To her left was a maintenance panel. She could access the station systems from there. Lily moved to the panel. Her hands moved fast. The controls were old-fashioned, buttons and switches, not like the modern systems, but that was good. The modern systems were down. The old-fashioned ones still worked. She found the water line controls. The recycling system was still running, still pumping water through the station. The system had tanks, it had pressure regulators, it could push water with great force. She thought of the ancient Earth word, hydraulics, using water and pressure to move things, to control things. Lily opened a valve, then another, then a third. The sound started slowly, a hiss, then a rumble, then a roar. Water pressure built up in the lines. The pump system was pushing more and more water toward the one place it could go, the maintenance line that ran through the central hub. The mercenaries heard it. The tall one looked down. The scared one looked up at the ceiling where the pipes ran. They did not understand what was happening, not yet. Then the pipe burst. Water exploded out of the metal pipe like a fountain, not a gentle stream, a violent jet of water and pressure. It hit the platform where the mercenaries stood. The force was incredible. Water designed to clean and recycle. Water pushed by pumps that could move thousands of liters per hour. The tall mercenary was knocked backward. His feet left the ground. He slammed into a metal support beam. The scared one tried to hold his position. He could not. The water hit him like a physical blow. His weapon fell from his hands. He fell with it. Lily ran. She ran into the hub. Her feet were fast on the metal grating. Behind her, water poured and crashed. The mercenaries were struggling in the flow. They were strong, very strong. But water was stronger when it had the force of pressure behind it. She reached the ladder, the metal ladder that went up to the catwalks. She climbed. Her hands and feet moved without thought, up and up. The ladder was cold and smooth, but her shoes had grip. Behind her, one of the mercenaries was moving, the scared one. He was pushing against the water flow. He was trying to stand. His muscles were straining, but he was standing. Lily climbed faster. Her breath came in hard gasps. The second platform, the third. The mercenary grabbed the ladder below her. He was climbing. He was fast, stronger than her, faster than her. But Lily was higher. Lily was closer. The beacon was on the highest platform, a metal box with a handle, simple, ancient, reliable. She reached the platform and pulled herself up. The mercenary was 3 levels below, climbing, getting closer. Lily grabbed the beacon. She knew how it worked. Her father had shown her long ago. A backup plan, something every human on the station should know. She turned the handle. The beacon started. A mechanical sound, springs releasing. A bell tone that was loud and clear, not a sound that needed electricity. A sound that needed only spring tension and air vibration. The bell tone went up. It echoed across the station, down through the ventilation system, through cables and corridors, out into space through the station's hull. A simple, powerful signal. Distress, emergency, we need help. The mercenary reached her level. He was breathing hard. His face was angry. He moved toward her. His hand was out. He was going to grab her. Then he stopped. His communication device made a sound, a noise from his wrist. He looked at it, then he looked down. Water was still flowing below, but the pump pressure was dropping. The valve was weakening from the force. The water was slowing. The other mercenary was getting up, shaking water from his armor. The one heard a new sound, a distant sound, but real, a sound that made his eyes go wide. A rescue ship was coming. The beacon was working. Its signal was traveling through space. The rescue ships were already responding. They could be here in minutes. The mercenary looked at Lily. His face was hard, unreadable. Then he turned and ran. Down the ladder, down the platforms, back to his partner. They moved fast, professional. They knew when to leave. Lily watched them go. She was shaking, not from cold, from fear, from the knowledge that she had just made a choice. She had chosen to signal for help. She had chosen to put the whole station at risk. If the rescue took too long, people would die from the lack of power, from the lack of heat, from systems failing. But she had also chosen something else. She had chosen to stop them, to stop this conspiracy, to make sure that no one else would die because of a secret war that no one knew about. The bell of the beacon continued. Ring, 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 a sound that meant help was coming. Below her, the water was finally stopping. The fountain was settling into a trickle. The floor of the central hub was flooded. Cables and equipment were soaked. But the beacon was working. And Lily was still alive. The mercenaries were hunting her again, but now the station was waking up. People were leaving their quarters. They were trying to find out what was happening. They were turning into obstacles. Lily left the beacon platform. She climbed down slowly. Her muscles hurt. Her hands were raw, but she was moving. She had to keep moving. The mercenaries would not give up. She understood this. They had failed to kill her. They had failed to stop the beacon, but they would try again. They would try until the rescue ships arrived. The question was simple. Could she stay alive long enough? She moved through the corridors. More people were awake now. They saw her. They asked questions. She did not answer. She just moved forward, toward the command center. That was where the manual controls were. That was where she could lock doors and control the station systems. Her father had taught her the codes, long ago. He had made her memorize them. He said every human on the station should know how to survive if the automatic systems failed. Now they had failed. The command center was locked, but Lily had the code. She entered the numbers on the manual pad. The door slid open. Inside were displays and screens and keyboards. Everything was black and dead. No power meant no display, but Lily did not need the screens. She knew the command center. She had visited her father here many times. She moved in the darkness and found what she needed. The manual control panels, the mechanical switches that controlled the bulkhead doors, the switches that could close off sections of the station. If she could close the doors between herself and the mercenaries, she could buy time. She started closing doors, one by one. She could hear the mechanical sound of locks engaging, heavy doors sliding shut. The sound was good. The sound meant safety. A voice called out. A mercenary. He was far away, but coming closer, shouting in the one. He was angry. Lily continued working. She closed more doors. She sealed off the sectors where the mercenaries were hunting. They could cut through the doors eventually, but it would take time she needed. Then she heard a new sound, not from the station, from outside, from space. A rescue ship. Its engines were powerful. The sound came through the station's hull, a deep vibration, a sound that meant help. Lily moved to the observation window. She could see into space. Stars, the station, and now a ship. It was a human ship, the United Earth Defense Vessel Horizon. It was large, military design. It had weapons. The mercenaries heard it too. She could hear them through the speakers. They were arguing. The tall one wanted to kill her still. The one was saying they needed to leave. Lily was in the command center, alone, safe for now. The doors were closed. The mercenaries were locked out. But locked doors would not stop them long. They had tools, they had weapons, they had training. Lily thought, what could she do? What resources did she have? The answer came to her. The station's systems. Even without power to the main computers, the mechanical systems still worked. The environmental controls, the air flow, the temperature regulation. She moved to another panel. This one controlled the heating systems, the mechanical levers that could open and close the vents. She started adjusting the systems. In the section where the mercenaries were hunting, she closed the vents. The section would get cold, very cold, not cold enough to kill, not quickly, but cold enough to be uncomfortable, cold enough to slow them down. Then she opened the vents in another section. Hot air would flow there, a diversion, a confusing pattern. She could hear them moving now, confused. The temperature shifts were making them change direction. She was buying time, more time. The horizon was getting closer. She could see it more clearly now. The rescue ship was moving into docking position. Then the mercenaries reached the command center doors. She heard them metal on metal, tools cutting, pressure building. The doors were strong, but not infinitely strong. The mercenaries had equipment designed for breaking things. Lily closed the environmental controls. There was nothing else she could do there. She moved to another area of the command center, the water lines. She could do what she had done before, create pressure, create diversion. She started opening valves. Water pressure began building again, a loud hum from the pipes, a vibration. Then something terrible happened. An alarm sounded, not from the station, from the pipes. The system was in danger. The pressure was too high, too much water forcing through the lines. If the system broke completely, it could cause damage. It could break the hull. It could kill everyone. Lily stopped. She stopped opening the valves. She started closing them, slowly, carefully. She had to relieve the pressure before something broke. The mercenaries were through the first door. She could hear them, 2 levels below the command center. Maybe 3, moving fast now. Lily moved to the last place. The communications panel, the mechanical radio system. She could broadcast. She could speak to the rescue ship directly. The switch was old, very old, but it worked. She turned it. "This is Lily Monroe on station," she said. Her voice was steady. She did not know how she did this, but she did. "Mercenaries are on the station. They sabotaged the power. They are trying to kill me. They are in the command center now. Repeat, armed mercenaries in the command center, Sector 9. Static answered her. Then a human voice, clear, calm. "Acknowledged station. This is Captain Sarah of the Horizon. We have your location. Do not move. Rescue team incoming." Lily heard the mercenaries in the corridor now, very close. The command center doors would not hold much longer. She heard the cutting sound, metal shrieking. The doors were failing. Then she heard a new sound, the sound of humanity, the sound of approaching, the sound of a rescue team deploying, the sound of soldiers moving into position on the station. The cutting stopped. The mercenaries were listening. They understood. The rescue team was here. The station was no longer theirs. Lily heard them move, not toward her. Away, they were running, trying to escape. But they would not make it. The station had many exits, but now it was surrounded. Humans controlled the docks. Humans controlled the ships. Lily sat down in the command center. Her body was shaking. The adrenaline was leaving her system. She was alive. The mercenaries were trapped. Through the communication system, she heard Captain giving orders. Soldiers were spreading through the station. They were securing the critical areas. They were making sure everyone was safe. Then through the headset, she heard a voice she knew. "Lily, honey, if you can hear me, I am here. Your father is here. You are safe now." It was Commander Jack Monroe, her father. His voice was filled with fear and relief and love. Lily began to cry. She was safe. The station was safe. The mercenaries were caught. The interrogation room was small and clean. Bright lights replaced the red emergency glow. Lily sat across from a named. He was the tall mercenary from the central hub, the one without scars. His armor had been removed. His weapons were gone, but his size was still impressive. Captain stood behind Lily. She was human, strong. Her presence made Lily feel safe. Was talking. His English was better than Lily had thought. He was explaining the operation, explaining why he and his team had come to station. "The government wanted to know what humans were made of," said. His voice was flat, no emotion. "They wanted to understand human biology, especially in how you respond to stress, to pressure, to fear." Lily listened. She was tired, her body hurt, but she was listening. There was an experiment, a biological agent. It was designed to study human reactions, to see if it could be weaponized, to see if humans could be made weaker, more controllable. Captain's hand tightened. Her anger was visible. This was exactly what they had suspected. Continued. "The government wanted this experiment hidden. If the treaty partners found out, it would destroy the peace. So they sent us. They sent soldiers to clean up, to make sure no one knew, to make sure no one could tell." "Why?" Lily asked. Her voice was small but firm. "Why experiment on humans?" Looked at her. His face was difficult to read. Did not show emotion the way humans did. "Because," he said slowly, "there are other governments, other species, who want war, who want the treaty broken. Humans are strong, but the government wanted to be stronger. They wanted to make sure humans could never be a threat." Lily understood. Fear. It always came down to fear. Fear of the other. Fear of being weak. "You failed," she said. Made a sound. It might have been a laugh. It would be called acknowledgement. "Yes," he said. "We failed because of you, one human girl in the darkness, alone, and you beat us." Captain asked him many questions. How many mercenaries had been on the station? What had been destroyed? What needed to be repaired? Answered them all. Later, in another room, Lily's father held her. Commander Monroe was crying. He held his daughter like he would never let her go. "I am sorry," he said. "I should have known. I should have protected you." "You taught me how to think," Lily said. "You taught me how to solve problems. You taught me how to survive. You protected me your whole life." The next day, Lily was brought to a larger room, a conference room. Inside were humans and military leaders, government representatives, scientists, and politicians. They all wanted to hear her story, from the moment the lights went out to the moment the rescue ship arrived. Lily told them everything. She spoke in simple English. She explained her choices, why she flooded the central hub, why she used the water systems, why she sealed the mercenaries in with the environmental controls. A general listened. He was important, high rank. His armor was decorated with medals and symbols of honor. When Lily finished, General stood up. "This human girl," he said in heavily accented English, "did what trained soldiers could not do. She was cornered, she was hunted, she was alone, and she defeated us. My government has some explaining to do." Over the next weeks, the truth came out. The biological weapon program, the conspiracy in the military, the scientists who had designed the agent, all of it was exposed. The government in this country apologized, officially, publicly. They disbanded the weapon program, they opened their laboratories for inspection. Many people lost their jobs, many were investigated, some were arrested. But the peace held, because a human girl had been brave enough to fight, brave enough to think, brave enough to refuse to be a witness to crimes. Lily returned to her work on the station. The repairs took weeks. The power systems had to be rebuilt. The water systems had to be fixed. But humans worked together to repair everything. One day was being transported off the station. He would be tried under both human and law. As he walked past Lily, he stopped. "I was ordered to kill you," he said. "I am glad I did not. You showed me something. You showed me that strength is not about size, it is not about weapons. It is about will, about refusing to accept defeat." Lily nodded. She did not know what to say. "Your species," continued, "should never be underestimated. You may be weaker, you may be smaller, but you are dangerous, not because of war, but because of mind, because of creativity, because of the will to survive." He walked away then. His guards took him to the transport ship. At a formal ceremony, Lily was honored. Not just by humans, but they gave her medals. They spoke about her bravery. They called her a hero. But Lily did not feel like a hero. She felt like a girl who had done what needed to be done. She had no choice. It was survive or die, so she survived. Captain stood with her at the ceremony. "You did more than survive," the captain said. "You prevented a war. Your actions showed the government that sneaking and lying would not work, that we could be trusted, that the peace was worth keeping." Lily looked at the station around her. Humans working together, building together, living together. This was what peace looked like, not the absence of conflict, but the choice to work together despite fear. Commander Monroe was very proud. He looked at his daughter and saw a woman who could think, who could survive, who could make the hard choices. "What will you do now?" he asked her. Lily thought about the darkness, about the mercenaries, about the beacon signal traveling through space. "I want to study," she said. "I want to understand what makes humans different. I want to help make sure this never happens again. I want to make sure we understand each other." Her father nodded. He understood. His daughter had looked into the darkness and emerged stronger. That night, Lily stood at an observation window. She looked out at space. Stars were everywhere. The galaxy was huge, full of dangers and wonders. She had been cornered, she had been hunted. She had been alone, but she had not given up. She had thought, she had acted, she had survived. And in surviving, she had shown the galaxy something important. Humanity was not just about strength or weapons. Humanity was about the will to live, the ability to think when cornered, the courage to face danger alone. Lily pressed her hand against the cold window. Space was vast and dark, but it was not empty. It was full of life, full of possibility, full of hope. She had proven something, to herself, to her father, to the government, to the whole galaxy. When a human girl was cornered with no way out, she found a way. She always found a way. And somehow she had done it. Alone in the darkness, cornered and hunted, she had survived. Behind her, she could hear people waking up, people noticing the darkness, people starting to understand that something was very wrong. She waited on the platform. The rescue ships were coming. The mercenaries were running. And somewhere on this station, the conspiracy was about to be exposed. After they passed, Lily sat in the dark for a long time. She needed rest. She needed to think. Then she heard something else. Another noise, different. A human voice. Someone was waking up. Someone was noticing the darkness. Someone would call for help and find no one answering. The danger was spreading. Soon more people would wake. Soon they would all be in trouble. Lily opened the closet door. She could not rest. She had to move. She had to reach the central hub. She had to reach the manual emergency beacon. And she had to do it before the mercenaries killed her. It was hidden in the central hub, and it was the only way to call for help. Lily moved forward into the darkness of the maintenance tunnels. Behind her, she could hear them searching. They were methodical, they were professional, they were killers. And they were closing in.